secret VA hack to invest in real estate without selling your house. I'm Tyler Knowles. I've got Melissa Butler here with North Alabama Mortgage to tell us how to do that. Take over.
Did you know that you can have two VA loans at the same time? A lot of people think that you can only have one, much like an FHA loan, but that is not the case. The VA is all about entitlement. So if you have enough entitlement, the VA will back up to 25% of your purchase. So depending on how much you borrowed on your first transaction as a veteran, we can pull a certificate of eligibility, and I will calculate if you have to put a new down payment for your next home. If you can move into a home and do $0 down and rent out your current home as a veteran, why wouldn't you?
It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code. So what are some of the parameters that they would have to follow?
The VA is all about intent. So if you intend to move into your new home, and you should because you're getting your home as a primary residence, you can then do whatever you need to your current home. If you're moving from state to state, if you get transferred, you intend to move and you have a reason to move, so you can then move into your new property.
What they have to go through to be able to secure the...
Essentially you have to be able to afford two at the same time. So can you afford both properties? Maybe. If you can, keep that second home and keep that first home for an investment.
Yeah, so cheat code there. So essentially it's that easy. I mean...
It is really that easy. You just have to be able to afford it.
That's unbelievable. What is the, does it vary? Like what's the...
I will say too that if people are planning to use the rental income, they have tightened the restrictions for requiring income that's coming from this new property. So you do have to have a signed lease. You do have to have 2 months worth of rent already given to you, which may be a little bit tricky if you're moving into your new one. But using that income to help you qualify for moving into your second, bigger, better home and renting out your first one is really important. So make sure you're getting that lined up before you rent out your house is huge.
And something I hear quite often, is it true that VA rates are the cheapest typically or the lowest?
They really are. A lot of people get caught up in the funding fee. So what's a funding fee? A VA funding fee is what funds these programs for veterans to be able to put $0 down. It's a beautiful thing. If you have any level of disability from the VA, you're almost always exempt from that funding fee. And remember the certificate of eligibility that I was talking to you about? You can pull your own certificate of eligibility online through the VA portal, and it'll tell you if you're exempt or you're not exempt. It also tells you how much you're getting on a monthly basis from the VA. And it also shows what your previous loan amount was and what the VA backed you for your entitlement. So that's what we use as a baseline when we're doing all of the calculations. But the funding fee is a lump sum of money that is financed into the loan. So it's not a closing cost, it's literally rolls into the loan. And if you are not exempt from the funding fee, you pay this extra chunk of change to get the significantly lower interest rate. And even with that funding fee, I almost guarantee that payment will still be lower than any conventional or FHA option available.
Wow.
If you are exempt from the funding fee, it's a no-brainer. VA all day.
And how are some people exempt? Are you saying if they've got disability?
If you have any type of VA disability, your certificate of eligibility will tell you if you're exempt or you're not exempt.
Okay. Anything else on that? I cut you off.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, even 10% of disability rating.
What gets you? So to the price of the houses, what do they have to be under for this to work? Does that make sense?
So I think you're referring to conforming loan limits. So
yes,
every year, the government, Fannie Mae, they set out new guidelines for what those loan limits are. So right now it is 806,500. So if you have a loan amount that is over 806,500, you're considered jumbo. And jumbo, that's a kind of a scary word because not only are you having a large loan, but you also are going to be required to put more money down, have a higher credit score. You're a bigger risk to the investor than what you would have been if you were under that loan limit. So everybody, if you're purchasing a home that's over that amount or your high purchase price, the goal would be to get below that unless you're a veteran. If you're a veteran, you still may have a jumbo VA loan, but there's no extra criteria to go along with it. So you don't have to put 20% down. You can still do $0 down as a veteran and have a jumbo loan. So you can buy a $1 million property with $0 down with a VA loan. It's unbelievable.
So how is it? What's the drawback then? Like,
The interest rate may be 0.125 higher, like it's very, very fractional, versus on a conventional loan, you're looking at 1% higher for a jumbo.
interesting. So VA loan normally is going to be better, and it sounds like especially if you're in that jumbo category.
Yes, they also allow you to go higher in your debt to income ratio. So what's a debt to income ratio? It's all of your minimum payments plus your new proposed mortgage payment, and they require you to be under a 56% debt to income ratio. They basically take your gross income and divide it by your debts, and it spits out a number. So to be under that amount, it can be a little bit tricky the higher the price point that you get. Conventional maxes out at 50 and in some cases 45%, depending on your loan product. But the VA is a lot more lax in that manner, and you can buy a lot more house on the mortgage side.
Okay. Anything else that you think discrepancies from what you see on your end? And
I think there is a misunderstanding that the VA is a bit stricter on home inspections. Have you heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that's the case. It may require a extra fireplace inspection, but if you are borrowing money for a home, the underwriters are going to make sure that that home is solid, and it's there to protect the veterans. It's your right as a veteran to use your VA loan, and you should be able to buy a home that is safe and hazard-free. So I do not think that those criteria is any stricter than any other property if you're buying a solid home.
Okay, that's fair. Good news. Oh my goodness, there was one more thing I wanted to add on that, and I cannot remember. Oh, appraisals. So well, you take over and I'll tell you what my assumption is. But what do you see any difference with appraisals in VA versus conventional?
There's no difference at all. It does take a little bit longer. The VA, you have to order through the VA website. The VA is all government regulated, and you know the government. They're going to take their time. So usually it's about 9 to 10 business days. So when you are a veteran, we just need to get that ordered sooner rather than later. There's something called a Tidewater. Have you heard of a Tidewater?
Oh, yes. Yeah. But
Well, so if you have a property that may not appraise, the appraiser will actually call your real estate agent and give them a heads up that says, hey, we're in a Tidewater situation. This house may not appraise. Can you provide me comparables to be able to validate this new purchase price? And so now your real estate agents on both sides can work together to provide the proof that the home is worth what you're paying for it. That's a really great thing, because if it doesn't appraise, then you either have to make up the difference with the value, or you get to walk away and get your earnest money back, because the VA allows you to receive that money if the home doesn't appraise for what you're paying for it. It's kind of a free out. So it's extremely lax.
So essentially, given everything, normal VA loan.
Love a VA loan. It's your right as a veteran to use it. If you have the opportunity, it's almost going to be the hands down best option for you. Don't sleep on a VA loan.
I don't think we can end it much better than that. Thank you so much, Knoles Nose Homes.